Hello guys, good morning. Well, this is one of the videos that that we agreed to have in order to recover some of the hours that we missed in the classes in the weeks previous to in the first interruption of the class. So we're going to focus on this particular video on some grammar, right? We're going to be talking about two particular topics in a specific. As you know, for the grammar, we have been working with the book. So it is very important that in order to follow this video, you go into the PDF file of the book and you go to the unit 5.1, right? It is called Amazing Journeys. This is on the page number 34 of the document, and the book itself is the page 48. Of course, I'm going to show you just to make sure that it's like the correct that you're seeing. It is going to look reversed. Nevertheless, well, I know that you can follow this. Well, as I mentioned, we're going to focus specifically on the grammar part, right? So I would recommend that in order for you to practice, you can maybe read some of the other exercises, for example, the number one on vocabulary or the reading in the number two. Well, that might be useful for you, but we are going to focus specifically on the grammar section. So in this case, we are going to check some of the elements that we are going to find in the exercise 6A grammar. So please everybody go into there. If you're going to follow this presentation, go to the exercise 6A grammar, this one in here, right? Let me see, this one in here, 6A grammar. Well, I'm going to give you 1 second for you to try and look for it. And here we go. So basically what we're going to see in there is to try to find some differences between past simple and past continuous, right? So remember that a very simple example of past simple, it's basically the verb I, or the verb form I was in the house yesterday, right? So that is verb to be in past, and that's past simple. I was in the house yesterday. Of course, you know that we also have irregular verbs, and regular verbs different from to be, and those are the ones that are either finished in ed, right? Such as walked, I walked in the street yesterday, or such as danced. For example, I danced in the disco last Saturday. That is past simple. Or the ones with the irregular verbs, right? That, as you know, the past has different forms, or different ones that from the ones that we normally have it, and that don't follow any particular rule, such as let's say I broke my leg last year. Yes, I cut my finger in the kitchen, right? So basically, that's past simple. And we have past continuous that also happens in the past, but it has the continuous element. You by now you know that the continuous element is the use of the verb to be in past, was or were, and the ing. So I was dancing yesterday. I was living with my grandmother when I studied. Well, different things, right? So let's say that those are the basics of the past continuous and the past simple. So if we go into the unit that we're going to be studying, the exercise 6A says look at the sentences A to C and answer the questions, right? So the first one is he was studying medicine when he decided to travel, right? What does it mean? It means that by the moment that he was studying medicine, this was a continuous process, right? It didn't stop. He was studying medicine. The career of medicine has, I don't know, 6, 7 years. So he was probably in the year number 2 or 3 or something like that. And in that moment, he decided to travel. If you see, there are two expressions in bold: was studying and decided. Evidently, was studying is past continuous. Decided, sorry, is past simple. Then we go into the B. it says, but while they were traveling, something went wrong. One more time, we have past continuous. In the moment that they were traveling back then, something went wrong. That went is past simple, right? Then we have the C. One night, when it was raining, the girls decided to escape. One more time, we have the exact same pattern. When it was raining, that is past continuous, and the girls decided to escape, that is past simple. So the activities in here basically tell us to identify the tenses, which I just did. Nevertheless, let's do it again. It says, what tenses are the verbs involved? So we already say that in A is present continuous, past continuous, past simple. B, past continuous, past simple. C, past continuous, past simple, right? That's the first one. And then it says in the number 2, which action started first in each sentences, right? Study or decide. So if we are going to answer that question, well, it's very simple. What happened first? Like he was studying medicine in A, that was first, and then after he started studying medicine, he decided to travel. That is the second activity. The same happens in the number 2. First, they were traveling, and then something wrong happened, and finally it happens exactly the same thing, right? Like it was raining, it was the first action, and then the girls decided to escape. That was the second action or the consequence of the first. So that is what we happen. That is what happens in here. The idea is that after they are going to try to give us some rules, right? And it says use the past simple or past continuous for actions that continue. Well, evidently, we are going to use the past continuous for actions that continue, right? They happen in the past. Of course, all of them happen in the past. Nevertheless, in that moment, they continue, right? So for example, I can say, I was studying for the test of English yesterday and I fell asleep, right? So I was studying. I had not finished. I continued that action, right? And then I was studying for the English test and then I fell asleep. That fell asleep is past simple. So it's a past in which, let's say that the action is over already, right? Like I fell asleep and the action was finishing there. So one more time, for the rule number 1, use the past continuous for actions that continue. And then in the number 2, again, we have the 2 options for completed actions. Obviously, the answer is use past simple for completed actions, right? Like I read a book last month. I completed the book. I finished the book. Yes. Different if I say I was reading a book last week. So probably I was in the process of reading the book and had not finished it, right? Or again, if I say I cooked my lunch last night, right? I cooked lunch last night, so I prepare it and it is ready. Yes, and the action is over. So hopefully you understand the difference in here. Now I'm going to help you with a couple of these practice exercise in the number 7a. And the idea is that you are able to complete the rest. Remember, I am not going to evaluate this. I am not going to check. I am not expecting that you send me this work to my email or something like that. This is just for you to practice. Nevertheless, as this is just a condensed lesson, a condensed explanation, the idea is that you're able to complete the rest. Of course, if you require like some correction or something additional, just let me know and I will be helping you with that. So in the exercise 7a, it says make sentences with the prompts. Basically like that we complete these sentences with the ones that are in the slash in there. So the original version says the number 1, I run, start to snow, so. So basically what we're going to be having in here is one action that is happening at the moment, right? That is continuous in the past, and then an action that is finishing there. So for example, the first one says, or the example that they gave us in here, I was running when it started to snow, so I went home. As you can see, they are using the prompts in there. They have the verbs run, start to snow, So they completed the sentence in this way. I was running, past continuous, that moment I was running, when it started to snow, right? It began to snow, past simple, began, started, and I continue. So in the end, I put something additional. Because it was snowing and I was running, I decided to go home. So let me help you with the number 2 on the tree. And the idea is that you're able to do the other ones, okay? The rest of the exercises that we have in here. So the number 2 says I slash wait for a bus slash meet my boss. So, right? So for example, one option, because we can have like different options, especially in the second part of the exercise, is this. Like, I was waiting for the bus. In that moment, in the past, I was doing this exercise of waiting for the bus, doing this activity. When I met my boss, take into account that I am going to change the orthography or the spelling of the word met, because this meet that is proposing here is in present, so I need to transform it into past, no? So when I met my boss. So, for example, I talked to him, or I decided to talk to him. So let me repeat the whole sentence. It is, I was waiting for a bus when I met my boss, so I decided to talk to him, right? So there's a combination between past continuous and past simple. Good, that will be the exercise number 2. In the exercise number 3, we have this one. I slash watch TV slash recognize my best friend. So, okay, so one more time, we have a pretty similar exercise. I was watching TV. In that moment I was doing it, not finished. The process was not finished. When I recognized, with D in the end, recognized my best friend. So I called him on the cell phone, for example, right? One more time. I was watching TV when I recognized my best friend, so I called him, right? Well, you have all the other exercises, they are quite similar. The idea is that you continue working with that. Also, maybe let's say an exercise that may be useful is answering the questions of the number 10a. Yes, there are certain things that you can do in here to try to check, let's say, different possibilities of the use of past continuous and past simple. So let me do it myself, right? I give you my example, and probably the idea is that you do it yourselves, either mentally if you want to write it, or orally if you want to talk to other partner with it. And it would be a good exercise to try to decide when to use one or when to use the other. So for example, let's go with the number 10a. It says describe something that happened to you on a trip or a journey. Think about questions 1 to 8 and make notes. So the question number 1, it says where and when did you go, right? So I would answer, for example, I went to Villa de Leyva, right? As you can see, I am using past simple. I went to Villa de Leyva. I finished that process, so I use it in that way. Who were you with? I can say I was traveling with my wife. Yes, that is one option. So I can use past continuous in there because the process was not finished. I was traveling with my wife. Number 3, what was the form of transport? I would say, for example, I traveled to Villa de Leyva in a bus, but once I arrived to the town, I was traveling in a car. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a possibility of combination of the two of them, past simple and past continuous. How long did the trip take? Well, the trip took about 2 hours and a half, but we stayed for 4 days, right? So that's another one. Number 5, what places did you see during the journey? Well, I saw a lot of different places, some lakes, some farms when they have ostriches, the big birds, with the long necks and the big eggs. We verified a couple of natural museums, well, a lot of different things. As you can see, in all these cases, I am using past simple because those are actions that are already finished. Did anything go wrong during the journey? Well, we can say that probably yes. When we were sleeping, you see, I am using present continuous in there because the activity continues. When we were sleeping the first day, it rained a lot and a window was damaged, so there was water inside the room. But it was not a big deal. One more time, I just want you to pay attention to the use of past continuous at the beginning while we were sleeping, in the moment that we were sleeping, yes, and then the use of past simple. Water got into the room, yes, so one window was damaged. That's it. And finally, what happened while you were traveling? Well, not much. It was a normal trip. We met different people from different nationalities. We got to practice our English. It was very interesting. Finally, number 8, how did you feel? Well, I felt happy and let's say amused. And of course, by the time that I returned, I felt tired, right? Very well, so that is what we're going to be doing from this unit number 5A. As you can see, the focus of the grammar in here is past simple versus past continuous, when to use one or when to use the other. So I strongly recommend that you do some of these exercises, that you finish the exercise 7A yourself, that maybe you are able to answer the 10A with your own experiences, and you're able to do it, right? For example, if we would continue in class, I would have assigned this speech for you, like for the exercises that we used to do on Tuesday. So this would have been very easily one of these speaking exercises, the one of the 10A. Well, to finish this video, we're going to focus on a second grammar topic, and this is the one that we are going to find in the page number, give me a second please, in the page number 40 of the document and 58 of the book. The name of this unit is 6.1, A Long Life, right? I'm going to show it to you one more time, so you can see 6.1, A Long Life. One more time, I would recommend that you check the vocabulary, that you check the reading, but for the video, we are going to concentrate on the grammar section. The grammar section is this one, as you can see in here, the exercise number 3A, right? So we're going to check present perfect and for and since. So one more time, we're going to read some of the examples that we have in here. So it says, scientists have studied Okinawa since Okinawans, since 1970. So as you can see, there is a present perfect, have studied. Remember that the present perfect is composed, but the verb have or has, depending on the person, and the next verb in past participle. Remember that the verbs in past participle are either for regular verbs that are finished in ed, or if we're talking about irregular verbs, those verbs of the third column of verbs. Remember, we have the infinitive, the past, and the third column is the past participle. The ones that in Spanish are, let's say, finished or mentioned as ado, edo, or ido, right? So, for example, like broken, that it would be roto, that's an exception, right? Or danced, that is bailado, or caught, that is cortado, right? All of these different things, so we combine them to make it in this way. So the first example is scientists have studied Okinawa since 1970. The next one is Dr. Warren has been a heart surgeon for 37 years. Now they ask us some questions in here, right? It says, number 1, when did scientists start to study Okinawans? When? Well, as you can see in the question A, it says 1970, right? In the number 2, it says, do they still study Okinawans today? If we're talking about present perfect, remember that we're talking about an activity that started in the past and continues. It haven't finished. So the answer is yes. The doctors, still in this moment study Okinawans today. And finally, the number 3 is, how long has Dr. Warren been a surgeon? So for how many years? As you can see, the answer in there is 37 years. Now, the point of these questions that seems to be a little bit obvious is this one, basically establishing the rules, right? So in the rules we use the present perfect to talk about things that happened, and we have two options. Happen in the past and continue until now, or only that happened in the past. It is evident that the present continuous is for things that happen in the past and continue in this moment. Yes, just like they have been studying the Okinawan people. If you go to the reading, as I mentioned, you will see that they have some particularities. So they continue studying them. That is the first rule. Now, in the second rule, it says we use for or since to talk about a period of time. How long? So let's say it says for a period of time. What is a period of time? 1 year, 2 years, 1 month, 2 hours, all that. Yes? So if we look into the exercise A and B, which of those is the one that is used for expressing a period of time? Yes? 1970, sorry, is a period of time? No. That is a date, that is a year, right? And 37 years, is that a period of time? Yes, it is a period of time. So the answer will be 4 for 37 years. So we use for a period of time to say for a year, for 20 years, for a month, for an hour, for a day, for, well, a lot of different things that we can talk in there. But remember, it's not an exact date, like Monday or yesterday or 1932, right? But it's just a period of time. The second rule says unuse for or since to talk about a point in time when something started. So if we go back to the exercise one more time, the word that is used to express a point in a period of time is since, right? Since 1970. So the answer for the second one is since. One more time, we use it when we know exactly the date or the moment or the date or the year or the month in which something that happened, right? So for example, I can say I have been studying English since 1989, for example, right? Or this semester started since August, or I have worked in this job since last year, right? So you see, they are exact dates. Now, in here we have in the exercise C, one more time, the dynamic is that I'm going to help you with a couple of the exercises in the 3A, in the 3C and the 4A, and the idea is that you complete the rest for practice. So we have, for example, 2005. Does it go with for or with since? Well, that is 2005. It is since. Desde 2005, right? And then it says ages. Ages means a long time, for a long time. So you say, I have been a teacher of English for ages, for a very long time. So that would be for, right? Let me help you with the next three. It says July. For or since? Well, since July, right? Desde julio, no por julio, right? Then a long time, right? That is a period of time. It's not a date. It's not an exact point of time. So you say for a long time. Then we have Saturday. Saturday will be since, because it's a particular moment, right? It's a particular day, since Saturday. And finally for me, I left the university, right? It is, let's say, since a particular moment, since I left the university. So let me help you or remind you one more time. Since 2005, for ages, since July, for a long time, since Saturday, since I left the university. that would be the C. I would strongly recommend that you do the rest of the exercises. Now let's go with the number 4, and in the number 4, we are going to see a very simple instruction that says complete the sentences and make them true for you using the verbs in brackets. So one more time, I have like a personal question in here. So the idea is that everybody answer depending on his or her experience. So for example, I can say, I have studied English for, I don't know, maybe 25 years, I guess, right? So if I am going to be using that word for, so I use a period of time for 25 years. Since, if I am going to use since, I will use well, the particular year in which I started to study English, that I don't know, it was 1989, 1990 something. Then the second one, I have had, yo he tenido, I have had this phone for 1 month, right? More or less, not a long time. So one more time, I have had this phone, the phone in which I am recording this video, for 1 month, or I can say I have had this phone since October, for example, right? Basically, that's it, guys. As I mentioned, I strongly recommend that you do all of the other exercises. For example, here in the 7A, we have a speaking exercise about possessions, about sports. So it would be a good idea that you're able to finish it and to practice with that. Remember that, as I mentioned before, this is a video in order to cover the previous let's say 2 weeks that we have. Of course, let's say that it's very condensed, very summarized. If you require any further explanation, please do not hesitate to write to me, and I will let you know any other possibilities of working on this, or if you require any clarification. I think nevertheless that this is pretty simple. But anyway, I am here for you if you require any additional work. Do not hesitate to mention if you require something additional. And as I said before, please complete the other exercises, because that's going to be fundamental for you to get these ideas very well, let's say, condensed. Remember that if necessary, and apparently it's going to be, this week I am going to be recording a second video with the topics of the previous week, right? Of the week that's coming. So let's be attentive to what's happening. Don't forget about the event that is going to be on 20th, and the dates for the evaluation and the report that we already mentioned. Okay, so thanks a lot, and we will be seeing each other soon, hopefully. Bye bye.